And you can see their Apple shares up about a little more than 2% now, 678 in early morning trading. On the heels of that late Friday, big patent victory in its fight there with Samsung. There's the story that we are going to talk about in a second here. Rolf Winkler, host of the AM Hub and Heard on the Street columnist, has a column today talking about Apple. Not really even just about Apple and Samsung, but who else?
There are a lot of other
Who
other
else
winners,
won and
other
lost?
losers here. So other losers. Let's start. So of course, Apple wins victory against Samsung,
Right.
but this really strikes at the heart of the Android ecosystem. Google.
Right.
Of course. Now, Google is fighting, I should say, Google manufacturer, Android manufacturers, HTC, Motorola Mobility,
Samsung,
and Samsung
yeah.
are all defending themselves from Apple lawsuits. Of course, now Google owns Motorola, so they're fighting a little more directly. But they all have to, it's now clear that they have to start thinking about alternate plans. They have to really hedge their bets on the Android OS if it's going to be a lot more expensive to use it, if they're going to have to pay royalties, not only to Apple, by the way, but also to Microsoft. They also pay royalties to Microsoft. But if they're going to have to start...
You'll get to that in a
paying to
second,
Apple.
because that was an interesting point in your column.
We do, well, let's go ahead and get to that. So that's one of the potential winners here is, all right, if we have to start thinking about other OSs,
Android becomes
hedging
too
our
expensive
bets,
to use.
not even just that it's too expensive, but that, hey, are we going to have to mess with our designs because we don't know what's going to pass muster from an intellectual property perspective? So what we're going to have to start, they have to start thinking about other OSs. One that could benefit is Windows Phone. So Microsoft is here with another operating system which is perfectly well protected from an IP perspective. Apple is not going after Microsoft. So you could see more device manufacturers focusing more on Microsoft devices.
That's interesting, because obviously, I mean, Microsoft has not been, they don't really, the Zune was a disaster. You know, their hardware hasn't been so great.
Today they have no share. Today in phones they've got 2% share, in tablets they've got 2% share. So we got to be clear here that they are a distant player still in this market.
Right. Although gigantic company, so if they marshal the resources.
And the interesting thing here is, especially in tablets, because sure, in tablets, really, there hasn't a real competitor for the iPad hasn't emerged.
Right.
There are a few Android tablets. Samsung sells some Android tablets. The Kindle Fire is an Android device, but you haven't really seen a strong second competitor. And some people were already saying that the Microsoft Surface, which is coming out this fall, and other Windows-based tablets might have a chance.
Have you seen it yet?
No. I mean, well, they previewed it. The things that's going to be interesting, they got the new
you haven't
keyboard.
seen
It's
it
going to have
physically.
Office, which means for people who want to
That's
do document
interesting.
work,
Right.
want to do spreadsheets, that, you know, on their tablet, they'll be able to do that. So you can see how this could carve out its own share of the market. Now, if this could provide an added boost, manufacturers wanting to then focus on Microsoft tablets instead of Android tablets.
Right. Let's talk about Amazon too for a second. You referenced the Kindle Fire there, an Android device. How does this whole thing play out for Amazon?
Well, it's just a theme that could happen on the side here. Kindle Fire is an Android device. Amazon does not have a strong intellectual property portfolio to protect it. Now, you could see Apple potentially going after Amazon next. They could be a logical target for Apple's lawyers, especially when you're considering that we're likely to see a mini iPad come out, which will compete more directly with the 7-inch Kindle Fire, which is smaller than the iPad is now. So you could see Apple bump up against Amazon. But there's other people here. You got to think about RIM too. Some people are thinking, well, maybe
Does anyone
RIM
still
might
think
be
about them?
Yeah, it's different. Their stock was up today, and people thought, well, maybe they'll have help licensing the BlackBerry 10 operating system. Maybe not so fast. They don't have a good IP portfolio either, so that could be a problem for them.
Nothing but problems for that company.
That is true.
All right, let's leave it there. Rolf Winkler, thank you very much. You can see his column in the paper on WSJ.com also, obviously.